Think about the last time you tried to learn um, a really complex new skill.
Oh, yeah, like learning to code or something.
Right. Maybe you decided to tackle a new coding language, or, you were trying to understand a super dense financial report for a meeting,
Hmm.
or perhaps you were attempting to master advanced English grammar.
Good luck with that.
Exactly. I mean, your brain probably hit a wall within the first hour.
Oh, absolutely.
You find yourself reading the exact same paragraph, like 3 times over. The jargon starts to blur together and nothing actually sticks.
Yeah, we have all been there.
But today, we have a source for our deep dive that claims it can completely prevent that mental crash.
And it does it using a highly rigid, incredibly specific cognitive sequence.
Right.
It's just, well, it is an elegant piece of instructional design.
It really is.
We are looking at a single excerpt from The Comprehensive Guide to Full Meaning English Grammar. And, what stands out immediately is that this guide doesn't start by throwing vocabulary or syntax rules at the learner.
Mhm.
It begins with a single, incredibly dense instructional sentence that basically dictates a very strict methodology for how information must be delivered.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the source material is literally just one sentence long.
Just one sentence.
It reads less like a traditional textbook chapter and more like a rigorous architectural blueprint for learning.
Yeah, blueprint's a great way to describe it.
And our mission today isn't to get bogged down in the mechanics of grammar itself, but rather to analyze this text as a definitive 7-step masterclass in how to achieve absolute comprehension of a subject.
Right, because the text commands the creation of a complete explanation by moving the learner through a very deliberate sequence.
Exactly.
What's fascinating here is that this single sentence outlines an entire pedagogical philosophy.
Oh, for sure.
It inherently understands that completeness isn't achieved just by, throwing an encyclopedic volume of facts at someone.
Right, you can't just dump a dictionary on someone's desk.
Exactly. Completeness, what the source refers to as full meaning, is entirely dependent on how those facts are staged, introduced, and reinforced in the human brain.
Mm-hmm.
It promises a complete explanation by respecting the limits of human cognition.
Well, and that staging begins with building the foundation.
Yeah.
The source demands that the very first move is to start with the basic definition.
Step one.
Right. And only after that is established does it move to the requirement to explain every important concept.
So we are looking at a strict chronological order here.
Exactly. Definition first, exhaustive conceptual breakdown second.
And, the sequence here is doing a massive amount of invisible work to prevent cognitive overload.
Oh, totally.
Because human working memory is notoriously limited. I mean, we can only hold a handful of new pieces of information in our active consciousness at any given moment.
Right. Like trying to hold sand in your hands.
Yeah, exactly. If a guide throws a learner into the deep end of a subject, say, jumping straight into the nuances of dangling modifiers, or the subjunctive mood, without first firmly establishing what a clause actually is,
The working memory just floods.
it floods completely. The brain literally cannot process the incoming data, and that is when you get that glazed over feeling.
It makes me think of drawing the edge pieces of a jigsaw puzzle.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
You're right. If you dump 1,000 pieces on a table and immediately start grabbing at the complex, colorful middle sections,
That's just going to get a headache.
you have absolutely no spatial context. You just end up frustrated.
Yeah.
Finding the straight edges first, that's the basic definition. You establish the rigid external boundaries of the puzzle before you even attempt to sort out the complex interior.
Right, which would be every important concept.
Exactly.
That boundary creation is actually known in cognitive psychology as building a schema.
A schema. Okay.
Yeah. The basic definition creates a mental bucket. And once the bucket exists, the learner's brain has a place to put the subsequent details.
Without the bucket, the details just spill out everywhere.
Exactly. And notice the modifier the source uses for the second phase.
Yeah.
Explain every important concept.
Right. It doesn't say explain a few concepts or, give a general overview.
No.
It demands every...
Which points directly to the full meaning aspect of the grammar guide's title.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, once the cognitive container is built and protected from overload, the instruction must be exhaustive. Leaving out underlying concepts creates fragile knowledge.
Like surface level stuff.
Exactly. If you only learn how to say, where is the bathroom? In a foreign language, you have utility, but you don't actually have comprehension.
Right, because you cannot generate your own unique sentences.
Exactly. Explaining every important concept ensures the learner understands the structural integrity of the system, not just the surface-level trivia.
So, okay, we have poured the concrete. We have our definitions establishing the boundaries, and we have an exhaustive breakdown of the concepts filling that space. But abstract concepts, even comprehensively explained ones, can easily evaporate if they remain purely theoretical.
Oh, very quickly.
So how does the guide force the brain to tether these ideas to the ground?
Well, the source immediately dictates a pivot from theory to application. It requires the instruction to provide examples, followed immediately by identifying common mistakes.
Wait, let's pause on that second part,
Right.
because I want to push back a little on the idea of deliberately focusing on mistakes right after introducing a concept.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, cognitive science and behavioral psychology usually warn heavily against visualizing the negative.
Okay, fair point.
Like if you are teaching a child to carry a full glass of milk, you don't tell them, don't spill it,
Right, because their brain immediately visualizes the act of spilling.
and then they spill it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, if you tell a golfer, don't hit the ball into the water hazard, they stare at the water and hit it right in.
The ironic rebound effect.
Exactly. So why doesn't that happen here? Why is this guide deliberately forcing the learner to look at the grammatical equivalent of the water hazard?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we really have to distinguish between physical, procedural motor tasks and logical, declarative knowledge systems.
Okay.
Full meaning English grammar is a rule-based logic system. In procedural tasks, like the golf swing,
Right.
visualizing the error actually corrupts the motor pathway. But in declarative learning, knowing exactly where the system breaks down is just as critical as knowing how it functions.
Because you aren't fighting muscle memory, you are fighting logical assumptions.
Precisely. Think about driving on a winding mountain road. The examples of correct usage represent the paved asphalt.
Okay.
They show you exactly where the vehicle should be. But identifying common mistakes, that serves as the guardrails on the edge of the cliff.
So the guardrails keep you from flying off into the abyss of bad syntax based on a flawed assumption.
Exactly. When you pair an example of correct usage with the immediate identification of a common mistake, you create stark, unmistakable contrast.
Right.
And contrast is one of the most powerful tools for pattern recognition in the human brain.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Seeing the right way next to the wrong way highlights the specific nuances of the rule far better than just showing the right way over and over again.
Because otherwise it all just blends together.
Yes. In a vacuum, a learner might logically assume a certain incorrect pattern makes sense.
Oh, I see what you mean.
For instance, putting an apostrophe in the word its to show possession seems logical because, well, that's the rule for other nouns.
But it's wrong for pronouns.
Exactly.
So by saying, here is the rule for possessive pronouns, and here's exactly the trap your brain is going to want to fall into, you are basically preempting the error.
You are inoculating the learner.
Inoculating them against the mistake before they have a chance to practice it and turn it into a bad habit.
It creates clear boundaries. You know where the safe path is,
Yeah.
and you know exactly what the dangerous territory looks like, so you can just avoid it entirely.
Okay, so we've established the boundaries and anticipated the errors in the immediate moment.
Right.
But immediate comprehension is notoriously fragile.
Very.
I mean, the moment you step away from the material, that immediate context fades.
Almost instantly, yeah.
So how does this single sentence framework force the brain to pack that knowledge up so it actually survives the journey into long-term memory?
Well, the framework transitions from immediate application into consolidation. It mandates that the instruction must summarize key takeaways and then create a learning roadmap.
Oh, man. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because there is a profound shift in chronological perspective taking place between those two actions.
What do you mean?
Well, summarizing the key takeaways is entirely about looking backward at the ground you've just covered.
Yeah.
You are standing on the mountain peak, looking down at the trail you just hiked. But creating a learning roadmap is about looking at the horizon. It is entirely forward-facing. It shifts you, the learner, from being a passive recipient of rules to an active traveler on a larger journey.
That transition from passive reception to active contextualization is the hallmark of enduring education.
Yeah.
When the guide mandates summarizing key takeaways, it is utilizing cognitive compression.
Cognitive compression.
Yeah, it takes the definition, the exhaustive concepts, the positive examples, and the negative guardrails, and it compresses them into digestible, high-density nuggets.
Because your brain literally cannot carry the full, unabridged textbook around in its active processing center.
No, of course not.
You need the zipped file.
The zipped file is a great way to think about it. By summarizing, you package the complex information into a format that can be neatly filed away into long-term memory for later retrieval.
That makes total sense.
But the learning roadmap does something equally vital for learner psychology. It structures the future to prevent the silo effect.
The silo effect, meaning like you learn one highly specific rule, but you have no idea how it talks to the rest of the language.
Exactly. A common failure in learning a highly complex, interconnected subject like English grammar is feeling lost in the weeds.
Oh, I hate that feeling.
Right. You might spend an hour mastering what a gerund is, but if you have no idea how a gerund connects to a participle,
Or why you even need to know these terms to write a more persuasive sentence.
exactly, your motivation just plummets. The information feels useless.
Yeah.
A learning roadmap ensures the learner understands the broader architecture of the subject.
It provides the why does this matter context.
Yes.
It's the difference between being dropped into a random intersection in a foreign city and being handed a comprehensive map of the entire subway system.
That's a fantastic analogy.
Because the map tells you where you're currently standing, but more importantly, it shows you the next destination and the destination after that. It keeps the momentum alive.
It connects isolated nodes of knowledge into a continuous web.
But, a roadmap only shows you the way.
Right.
It doesn't actually prove you know how to drive the car.
True.
Which brings us to the final requirement of this incredibly dense single-sentence masterclass. It forces a transition from absorbing the material to actively proving you own it.
The final step.
The guide dictates. Finish with practice questions to test my understanding. Now, I really want to draw attention to the specific pronoun used in the source here.
The my.
Yes. It does not say test the reader's understanding or provide a quiz for the student. It specifically says test my understanding.
And that pronoun shifts the entire dynamic of the learning experience.
How so?
Well, it creates intense personal accountability. This isn't about abstract testing for a grade in a classroom environment. It is about self-verification. It is the learner actively confronting their own comprehension.
Looking in the mirror and asking, did I actually absorb this or was I just nodding along while the author did all the work?
Exactly. This step targets one of the most dangerous phenomena in self-guided learning, which cognitive psychologists call the fluency illusion.
The fluency illusion. Okay, how does that actually happen in the brain?
Well, the fluency illusion is the false feeling of competence that arises when information is easy to process in the moment.
Okay.
When you are reading a brilliantly structured textbook, one that has clear definitions, excellent examples, and concise summaries, your brain processes the author's logic with very little friction.
It feels easy.
It feels incredibly easy. And the danger is that the brain routinely mistakes the ease of reading for the ability to replicate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You read a clear explanation of a complex grammar rule, and your internal monologue says, yes, that makes perfect sense. I totally understand that.
It's exactly like driving somewhere using an app like Google Maps.
Oh, absolutely.
While the voice is prompting you to turn left in 500 feet, and you have that clear blue line showing you exactly where to go, you feel a complete sense of spatial awareness.
Right, you think, I know where I am?
But if you try to drive that exact same route the next day without your phone, you are completely lost.
Completely.
The app was doing the cognitive heavy lifting, not your brain. The ease of following the instructions was masking your actual inability to navigate.
The navigation analogy is perfect.
Yeah.
The textbook is the GPS. The fluency illusion convinces you that you know the route.
Wow.
And that is why this seventh and final step, testing my understanding with practice questions, is non-negotiable for achieving full meaning.
Right.
Practice questions are the ultimate diagnostic tool because they shatter the fluency illusion. They take the GPS away and force you to navigate from memory.
You have to pull the information out from the inside, rather than just passively letting it flow in from the outside.
That process is called active recall, and it is arguably the single most critical mechanism for long-term retention.
Really? The most critical.
Oh, by far. When you are confronted with a practice question, you have to actively reconstruct the neural pathway.
Okay.
You must retrieve the basic definition from your schema, Scan through the important concepts, recall the contrast of the examples and the common mistakes, and apply the compressed takeaways to arrive at the answer.
It forces all those distinct cognitive steps we just discussed to fire simultaneously.
Yeah.
It weaves those separate threads into a thick, unbreakable rope of comprehension.
And, if you fail the practice question, the illusion is broken immediately.
Right, you can't fake it.
No, you realize exactly which part of the roadmap you need to revisit before moving on. It guarantees that the full meaning has actually been achieved rather than just simulated.
Man, so what does this all mean? We started this deep dive looking at a single, incredibly dense instructional sentence from a grammar guide. But what we have actually uncovered is a universal skeleton key for tackling information density.
Yes, exactly.
The Comprehensive Guide to Full Meaning English Grammar has provided a highly calibrated 7-step blueprint for mastering absolutely any complex subject without overloading the brain.
The architecture of this single sentence is universally applicable. It maps perfectly onto how the human brain naturally acquires, categorizes, and stores complex data.
Let's trace that cognitive pathway one final time. Step 1, you build the schema by defining the boundaries. Step 2, you fill that specific container by exploring every conceptual detail within it. Step 3, you anchor those abstract concepts into reality with positive examples.
Right.
Step 4, you construct logical guardrails by identifying the common mistakes and contrasting them. Step 5, you compress the data into key takeaways for long-term storage.
Yes.
Step 6, you map out the future journey to provide broader context and motivation. And finally, Step 7, you shatter the fluency illusion and prove you own the knowledge through active recall testing.
Whether you are trying to understand the intricacies of English syntax, prepping to lead a highly technical corporate strategy meeting, catching up on a dense new scientific field, or even just exploring a complex new hobby like photography or software development, this exact sequence can be layered over the material.
That's amazing.
It prevents you from drowning in the deep end, it stops the formation of bad habits before they start, and it respects your time by prioritizing long-term retention over short-term illusion.
It breaks the overwhelming into the manageable and the temporary into the permanent.
It really is a masterclass in instructional design.
It is. And it brings up a final thought that is hard to shake once you see the mechanics of this blueprint laid out so clearly.
Yeah.
We have just spent this entire deep dive exploring how rigorous, deliberate, and protective this 7-step process is.
Yeah.
It is clearly the gold standard for achieving true, full-meaning comprehension in any discipline.
It leaves no cognitive stone unturned.
So, if this is the standard required for the brain to truly master a subject, it makes you wonder, how much of our past education, whether in a classroom or in our professional lives, gave us only partial meaning?
Oh, that's a chilling thought.
Right. Think about how many times you were handed a massive manual or a dense textbook, but the instruction completely skipped the common mistakes guardrails, allowing you to form bad logical habits.
This happens all the time.
Or how often the training neglected to provide a learning roadmap for the future, leaving you totally unmoored and unmotivated.
We've been operating without the full blueprint.
Exactly. But more importantly, now that you possess this exact 7-step sequence, what complex subject are you going to conquer with full meaning next?